The Other Dimension. With the team, Damon Penny, Ben Winfield, and Louisa Brown. We guide you through the supernatural, the occult, and the unexplained, answering questions that will make you question your grip of reality, with special guests guiding you through everything from demons to divination, cryptids to crystals, religion to skeptics. We explore in depth the true meaning of the unexplained. So strap in, kick back, and enjoy as we enter the other dimension.
Welcome along, everybody. It's your Friday night paranormal fix, and we're joined by our special guest tonight, the one and only Kate. You'll know her from the comments. Always asking the best questions. We've got a show tonight. We'll be talking about paranormal experiences, real life paranormal experiences, and we're also going to delve into the origins of nursery rhymes and the darker side of nursery rhymes as well. So it's going to be a really, really cool show tonight. Lots of information coming out. Just before we get started and we speak to Kate, just remember we have the Patreon live. If you want to join the Patreon, head over to patreon.com/otherdimension. Link is below, along with the merchandise, the Discord, and I'm pretty sure I'll put the TikTok in there. Guys, I am going to try and upload videos. It's been a mad week for me. I was literally at work till about 10 minutes ago, so it's been mad. But Kate, welcome along to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's great to have you on. Honestly, me and Kate, for people that don't know Kate's, she's a listener. She listens to us via YouTube, sometimes Facebook as well. Kate's always been behind the scenes. Me and her constantly talking about stuff, everything from like veganism all the way up to like, you know, like genetically modified and produced food and stuff. We get like, me and Kate's conversations get like so deep sometimes. It's crazy. So I'm so glad to have her on here. And can I just say to everybody out there, most prepared person I've ever had on the show. Like super.
Oh, thank you. No, I just want to say, I think I speak for everybody here, but massive thank you to everyone behind the other dimension, you, Ben and Lou, for all of your hard work, your commitment, the content. It's just so nice to have this place where, and this space as well, where we can just, you know, share all of our knowledge and the theories, whether it be conspiracy theories or experiences. Yeah, just all of these discussions without being judged. You know, it's just all out there. So, no, thank you so, so much. Hey, and the banter, of course.
Well up, getting all emotional.
No. No, really, thank you. Oh, and I just want to ask, how was your birthday? It was your birthday last week.
From what I remember of it, yeah, it was all right. Double celebration. Like I said, I got a promotion at work, and it was my birthday. I did get a tablet, which I was hoping to use tonight, but for some reason it won't connect in there because Amazon make it so like really hard to do things. But yeah, so like, let's give a shout out to everyone that's locked in. So far, let's have a look. So we have Christina Phelps. How you doing? Big shout out to Natasha. Vonnie saying good evening, Damon and Kate. Welcome along, Von. How you doing? Jeanette's in. How you doing, Jeanette? And we have Philip Harrison. Welcome along. Oh, it's good to Joe. Like I always said to everyone here on the show, Kate, I would rather have like the 10 to 15 core listeners that we have than have millions of people locked in, because they're like so dedicated. They're always here.
Absolutely.
I know before we get into the paranormal experiences, you wanted to do a special shout out to someone.
I did. I want to say a special and big shout out to my dad, David, who's watching, and also to my mum, Janet, who will eventually be watching. Probably not live, but yeah, big shout out to my dad who's watching live, and yeah, love them loads. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, big shout out to mum and dad if you're locked in. You know, it's family support you. My mum always watches the stream. It's fantastic, you know, and we wouldn't be who we are today without family. That's 100%.
Yep, I totally agree. So yeah, thank you.
And hi, David.
Thank you.
Shout out to you. Now, tonight's show, first half, we're going to be talking about paranormal experiences. I know Kate's had a few paranormal experiences. These are real life, guys. This is not like made up or from the internet. These are experiences that Kate. So what we want to do, we're going to talk about it. If you guys have any theories, let me know, and we'll stick it up there for Kate to see. So, Kate, I'm going to hand it over to you. What's the first experience you had?
Thank you. Yeah, so all of the experiences, I'm going to talk about 3 of them, and they're close family related. I'm very interested to hear what the listeners have to say about it, because I tend to be very logical in these situations. I'm a little bit of a skeptic sometimes. Sometimes I think, oh, it's just coincidence. It can't be paranormal or supernatural or something. So, yeah, I'm just very, very interested about what the listeners have to say. Yeah, but the first one is about a clock and my grandfather on my mum's side. This was a very long time ago. This was over 15 years ago now, I think. Oh my goodness. And my grandfather absolutely loved this big station clock that we had in the sitting room. My grandfather loved clocks in general. Like, I just remember my granny and granddad's house was just full of, trinkets and clocks and all those kind of bits that, that they have around.
Yeah. I know you mean.
Yeah, but he particularly loved this clock, massive clock. And unfortunately, my grandfather, he had dementia. So he was in an assessment centre and they were just assessing, his dementia, how it was progressing and all of that stuff. And one evening, my dad had a really bad dream. He had a nightmare where he saw my grandfather and my grandfather was lying down and there was a lot of water around him. And the water was gradually rising and rising until it covered my grandfather and he couldn't breathe. He was drowning.
Right.
And my dad woke up, obviously really startled and really shocked, basically.
Yeah.
And the phone went and my mum answered the phone and they said, really sorry to have to tell you this, but your dad's just passed away. Can you come down? So I remember my parents leaving because I was quite young. I was a teenager and didn't really think, anything strange or anything, just left the house. And when they came back, my dad told me that my grandfather had passed away from pneumonia, which would explain the water feeling, because water on the lungs. And we noticed that the clock had stopped. Now, this isn't unusual because of being a big station clock, it does stop quite often, at least every 5 days, and my dad would have to wind it. Sometimes it would be a bit late, sometimes it would be a bit early, like because, it quickens or it slows. So we didn't think anything of it. My dad just, wound it up and it started again. And it had stopped, I don't remember the exact time, but let's say that it stopped about 1:25 in the morning, so 1:25. And my dad wound it up and he looked at his watch and he said, oh, it was actually running 15 minutes too fast. So it had actually stopped at 1:10 in the morning, let's say. And when you look at the death certificate of my grandfather's death, it was the same time. So the clock had stopped the same time as my grandfather died. And we always wonder, was it a sign? Was it a coincidence? No idea.
I've come across cases like this before, right? So break it down. Now, the first part was the dream. Now, there are studies being done by scientists that talk about bloodline connections and being able to see. If you go back in folklore, you have the banshee that used to wail when someone in the family would pass away to let you know that someone's passed away. So there are stories where people are connected almost. And because obviously if grandfather to your dad being a direct relative, the connection is going to be quite strong and positive. So it's almost if like, see, mediums will say that that's the spirit world giving your dad a message. To me, I look at it more as more like an interdimensional connection. There they always talk about bloodlines being reborn. You know, we talk about reincarnations. You are always reincarnated with the same people. You always keep with the same spiritual group. Like, for instance, I might be reincarnated when I pass away, but instead of coming back as the son to my mum, I would be the father to her, and she'd be my daughter. It's all like reincarnation in the spirit bloodlines and stuff like this. The fact that he had that sort of water and pneumonia, that's immense. I've had cases where people have had dreams where all of a sudden this person flashes in front of their eyes. But for your dad to have that much connection, to be able to sort of feel what he's feeling at the time, it's craziness, crazy. And the clock's definitely a sign. I've had so many cases where people talk about people passing away and clocks have stopped. Because what you've got to remember is clocks run off electrical power. Some of, especially the winding ones, it's almost like an electromagnet. And spirits are electromagnetic frequencies in themselves, so it's easy for them to sort of manipulate that. And it being an old station clock, I'm sure your grandfather would have wound on and tried to repair and cleaned it because he was so attached to it. It makes logical sense that he would stop the clock to let them know that like you guys know, I'm still around.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I do think my dad is definitely very sensitive to those kind of things. Even though it wasn't his dad, it was on my mum's side, I still think, he had a really close relationship with him. And I don't know, because there's still like the skeptic in me. It's like, oh, you know, the clock just stopped, you know, it happens. But it's really a coincidence that it stopped at the same time. Yeah, totally. So that's the first story. Yeah.
Well, things saying yes, it is indeed a sign. So there you go. Von saying yes, definitely a sign that your dad and grandfather were connected, symbolizing rebirth and end of existing life. I would agree.
That's lovely.
100%.
Oh, thank you.
Jeanette's talking about a time when she had two separate times, had a clock stop at a time someone we knew passed away. So you're not alone when these things happen. Von is also saying, I don't think it was coincidence your grandfather was using his energy to let him know he was moving into his future time. It's just saying that's her opinion.
Wow.
Also, your grandfather knew the clock would be a link to your dad, which that does physically make sense. See, we talk on the show a lot about humans looking for the most complicated answer. But the problem with this paranormal experience you had is both answers are pretty simplified. Number one, it could just be the clock stopping. But number two, your grandfather had a connection to that clock. So it could, you know what I mean? I'll tell you what, Philip, we'll get to that one in a bit. He's talking about his first experience. Actually, we'll put it out there. My first experience was when I was 6. I grew up in a very spiritual family and was used to seeing my nana doing readings. But this day I woke up by a strong smell of perfume, but no one was there. This happened all my life, and speaking to family and friend who is psychic, I found out that I'm a Claire Alliance. Now carry a book to log everything.
Wow.
That's what I mean. But what you don't realise is you talk to a lot of people that are paranormal investigators, mediums, psychics, Reiki healers. You'll find that the 99.9% of the time, the reason why they're doing what they're doing is because they're younger. I mean, my first ever paranormal experience that got me into it, I think I was 5 years old. We lived in a big block on the 14th floor. And this night I couldn't sleep. And I saw a woman go past the door. I thought it was my mum. Go past the door to go and get some water. And I thought, maybe if I have some water, it'll help me sort of like calm down. I'll be able to go to sleep. I know it's like only 5. You don't sort of think like that, but that's the way I look at it. And walked up this really long hallway. And I walked up this hallway, and when I got to the end, I said, Mum, can I have a glass of water? And as the woman turned round, she had no head, but it was under her arm. And
oh my gosh.
Back under the covers. I don't remember sleeping much that night. But when I sat down and spoke to my family about it, they said, yeah, it does happen. Because my family is very spiritual. My mum's Wicca. My auntie's old school Wicca. She's a medium. Both me, my mum, and my auntie worked for the SNC, which is Spiritualist Nationalist Church. We used to do mediumship readings for them as well. So everybody has that. But that story, Kate, that experience just blew me away. That's amazing because it's a double header. Not only did he have the dream, he had the sign. And that's just like, wow.
I have to say, Damon, though, were you not traumatized seeing that as a 5-year-old? Oh my gosh.
I was,
Freaked
but
out.
I've always been a sort of person where if I don't understand something, I'll go and find out about it. So I used to ask a lot of questions when I was younger. And I think I went on my first paranormal investigation when I was 16. And I've been doing it ever since.
Wow.
Body's just saying also she feels that the clock was relevant to help link the time from grandfather, dad to yourself. It was a message to you all. Yeah, definitely a message. But yeah, I mean that's crazy. I mean, we've had some really cool stories on the show.
Nice. Yeah.
Different stories, because it may sound not true. You've had some really cool experiences. People have explained them on the show, but that one, it's a double header. That's quite cool. But I know you've got some more, so let's hear the second one.
Yeah. I just want to also emphasize that I'm not exaggerating. This is 100% true. Yeah, so just saying that as well. It's not
Everyone
made up or anything.
Who listens to this, we're not going to go and get some random nutter off the street to go live. I mean, I know that because when we talk behind the scenes, you're very logical, you're very skeptical, you do look at things and think about it. You're not just one of these people that go, there's a banging next door, oh yeah, it's the spirit. You would actually go and look, find out in case if it's like a pipe or something that's causing it.
A rat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About things. You even explained that in the story as well. So the experience story. What am I doing?
Don't worry. Yeah. So the second one is also it's about my dad as well, because I tend to think all of our paranormal experiences tend to gravitate around my dad. So this is just another one. Yeah, but this time it's about my grandmother, his mother. So a very, very close connection to my dad.
Yeah.
So the experience is that my dad has glaucoma, and he has to have his eyes checked every 6 months for the pressure, because his pressure is really high in his eyes. He's had it over 15 years now, where he has to have a checkup every 6 months. They check the pressure. He had operations. He has eye drops. And all of these appointments just help to adjust his eye drops and keep his pressure down, because if it's too high, then obviously, it causes blindness and problems with the eyes. So the target pressure, to have perfect pressure in your eyes, it has to be number 12. So just think about number 12. And for my dad, his eyes have always been at the higher end. So 14, 16, 15, 18, it's very, very rare that you will get the same pressure for both eyes. And it's almost impossible for my dad to have perfect pressure, because he's had this problem for like over 15 years. So my grandmother, unfortunately, was very, very ill. It wasn't anything particular, just old age, and she was very, very frail. She was in hospital. We kind of knew it was coming, and unfortunately my dad got that horrible call where she passed away in the early hours of the morning. And later in the morning, my dad had his 6-month checkup, and he didn't know whether to go or not. He was thinking about it, and he thought, well, I'll just go and get it over and done with, and then I can focus on, the plans and grieving, and, I just want to get it done so I know that it's done, because, with the NHS and moving appointments and booking another one, it's not always the easiest thing to do. Bless them, thank goodness for them. But yep. So my dad went, and the doctor checked his eyes. And she said, oh, how are you today, David? And he said, well, not too good, actually. My mum's just died. I said, oh, I'm terribly sorry about that. So sorry. You sure you want to do this? And he said, yeah, I want to do it, just get it done. And, so she took the pressure, and she had the chart of all the different numbers, and it's always at the higher end. And she kind of didn't say anything. She kind of struggled. Like, oh. And then she did the test again,
Yeah.
And my dad said, "Is there a problem?" And she said, "You know, it's really strange, but both of your eyes are a 12. Perfect."
Oh,
And my dad said, "That's impossible. Your machine must be broken. There must be something wrong." No, 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 it's not broken. No, both your eyes are a 12. And they never have been since.
that's
That was the
crazy.
only time my dad has had perfect pressure in his eyes, the morning that his mum passed away.
That's
And we often wonder, was that a sign? It's really weird.
I mean, listeners, hit him up. Let us know what you think. Technically speaking, if his mum's just passed away, he should be under more stress, more duress, so his eyes should be worse.
Yeah.
That wow, that's I've never ever come across anything like.
Unexplained.
Philip Harris is saying, "Holy crap, that's strange."
Really strange. And my dad has the records. He has the folder where they wrote it down as well, and everybody was just speechless about it. They just unexplained, 100%.
I mean, yeah, it could definitely be a sign, 100%. I mean, hey, is your family very spiritual? Have you had a lot of spiritual in your family?
To be honest, not really. We've always been Christians, Protestant. I would just say my dad has, I don't know, I would just describe him as sensitive. He picks up on a lot of things and has these dreams and experiences. So that's the only thing. Yeah.
I mean, thinking about it, it could be a sign. But for your nan to sort of have that effect to that degree,
Yeah.
it's something where
It's like protection, isn't it?
almost like the family bond, mother protects child and so on and so forth, that sort of thing. Question for Christina, she's asking, did she pass at midnight or on the 12th month or on the 12th day?
Oh, Dad, if you're watching, please send me a message and let me know.
Dad, that'll be fine. That could be of relevance. The number 12 could be of relevance.
Yeah.
I've never come across a story like that, because we're talking about something that's medically induced, something that's extremely powerful. I mean, I know that people talk about demonics can cause partial blindness, they can scratch, they can bite, and angelics can
healing.
Healing.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Reiki healing that works through, like, positive energy being pushed into the body. So maybe that way, when Nana passed, she could have installed Dad with a lot of positive energy, and that's what probably caused it on that day. Philip Harris is saying families always look after their own, which is 100% true. Like, my nan passed away, God bless her, like, a long time ago. I was 16 when she passed, and my granddad passed 6 months after that, and everyone says he died of 100%. And whenever anything goes wrong in life, or I get really stressed out, or anything gets too much, I always get the same smell. My nan always used to wear lavender perfume, and something will be going wrong. I'll be like so down, or something, and I will just smell this perfume, and I'm picked straight back up. Straight back up.
Oh, that's lovely. She's always looking after you.
Yeah, it's crazy. Christina says she has the connection with 12, which would make sense. The fact that, and like, very rare for both eyes to read the same pressure. Like, you either get a 15 and an 18, or a 14 and a 17. For them to both read at 12, that's just, it's just mad. It's mad. I have no explanation for it. I don't know. Gut feeling. It's definitely a connection. Definitely a connection there. Bonnie's just put, rationally and medically, I would say not possible, but obviously it did. Could it have been a warning to try and tell him to remain calm? I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
And that's behind it, Kate. Rationally and medically, it is completely unexplainable. So the people that turn to the skeptical, oh, it was stress, it was duress, it was these, it's completely ruled out before you start.
It is, totally. nobody could explain it. Maybe it was just one of those things, you know, it was, you know, what you would say, just a miracle. It just happened for that day and everything was fine. And then you just don't know, do you? That's the thing. It's unexplained. It's, yeah, crazy.
Bonnie just said on the height and the pressure, which I agree with 100%. Heighten it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's blown me away. I thought the first experience was good, but that one was even better. I've never heard, because I've had experiences I've spoken to people about the same experiences like the first one you said, but that one, that's the first for me. I've never ever come across that in the whole time I've been studying the paranormal, poltergeists and ghosts and demons and, you know, cryptids and that. I've never ever come across a story like that before.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'll have to ask Dad if he can send me a picture actually of the file, and I can put it on the Facebook page.
Yeah, that'd be quite cool. Christina's asking, how old were you when she passed?
It was 2 years ago. Really good question. 2 years ago, yeah.
Bonnie's saying that is mind blowing. I may have to look into that.
Oh.
You know what? I know a completely separate story, and I think I've told this story before. And I just want to tell the story because I wanted people to understand that this is not I'm going to go out there and say this is not placebo effect. You have something called the placebo effect.
Yeah.
So placebo is obviously when you are told something's going to fix you and your mind fixes yourself. I had a friend in America who was suffering really badly with cancerous. He had cancer lumps all over his body. He literally gave him 3 or 4 weeks to live. And he went for this trial. Now, in this country, you won't be allowed to do that. In America, for some reason, they get away with stuff like this. But he went for this trial. And what they'd done is they told him they were going to inject him with this new medical drug that's supposed to clear up the cancer. What they injected him with was saline, like a salt solution. But they told him with this new thing. And he had to go for a checkup 4 weeks later. When we went for a checkup 4 weeks later, the cancer had gone. Completely left his body. He had nothing. So the mind automatically generated and fixed itself. But to make that story even better, when he went for the checkup after 4 weeks, they told him that they injected him with a saline solution. And 3 weeks later, he passed away. So it's almost as if it's a crazy story. But when I was told it, it's my friend in America. It's his friend, so I wasn't that close. But it's a story. It's a story that it just blows your mind because it shows the power of the mind and how it can fix itself. You know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like lying to somebody. I think it's just so wrong, and I don't know how anyone can get away with doing things like that. But,
yeah.
I mean,
especially, you know, something as severe as that, you know, you wouldn't want to mess around with it.
Christina Phelps saying 21. I don't think Kate was 21 2 years ago. I know Kate looks
thank you.
Right, guys. Kate looks extremely young, but, you know.
Thank you so much. I'm 32, so yeah.
35, oh my God.
We're still in the 90s, but I know you'd have been, oh, sorry. Yeah.
That's all right. No. So you've got one more experience that we're going to talk about, and we're going to get the listeners to see what they think about it.
Yeah. So the last one, it's actually a very, very short. It's kind of more it's very, very short. But you've seen the picture, Damon, and Ben and Lou have seen the picture. But I have a picture from my grandmother's funeral on my mum's side. And my dad was just taking a picture in the sitting room of the people who had gathered to her funeral, and it was like the after thing. And there is a massive light anomaly or orb, whatever you want to call it, right on her head.
Yeah.
What did you think of the picture, Damon?
I run it when I get sent pictures, I always run them through a filter. And what I try to do is I run through 2 or 3 filters to see if it's generating its own energy, its own light source. That rules out refraction, reflection, or anything like that. I run that picture through all 3 of the filters, and according to them, this was generating its own light source. Now, we've spoke on the show about orbs before, and you think about the first stage of a spirit manifestation, it wouldn't just be a sort of like almost a torchlight going across the screen. It would be generating its own energy. It would be creating its own energy. So these orbs that we see on most haunted or ghost adventures that just quickly go, they're just bits of dust. The one that's in that picture is so intriguing because it's got, even though it looks circle, it's got a sort of shape to it. And if you actually zoom in on it, you can almost see like a face. And B, the fact that it's generating its own light source, so it's its own ball of energy. It's completely out there. I mean, I've had some of them come through before where you look at them and you run them through the filters, they're generating their own light, they're generating their own energy, and you think, wow. But that one was off the chain. It was really, really, really good.
Interesting. I will get permission from my mum and dad to post it on the Facebook group. So anybody that's interested, once I get the permission from them, obviously, because it's a personal picture, but yeah, it would be interesting to share and to see what others think of it as well. So yeah, hopefully.
I mean, we always talk about, if you're going to see an orb, it's going to be pulsating, because obviously it's generating its own energy. It'll be pulsating. It'll be giving out its own frequency in itself. And for the listeners that are watching, I've seen the orb, and it is amazing. You can see that it's got like almost like a tinge of blue to it as well.
Yeah. And the camera used, I mean, it was a very low quality digital camera, because we're talking about 12, 13 years ago. It's not one of these new cameras. It's just an old digital camera, and it was the only photo where this came up. And when my dad looked at it, he just thought, what on earth is that, like, on your mum's head? And once we zoomed in, that's when you start to see like the kind of portrait face and the light. And yeah, it was just really unexplained. Again, had no idea what it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy one. I mean, I had an experience when I was at Harwich. It's what got me into demonology. I've told the story many times on the show, where we drew straws who was going to spend time alone in this haunted cell with the door locked, and I drew the short straw. So I had sitting there for an hour with another medium from the team. And about 20 minutes in, we heard this weird growling coming from like the top corner of the room. And when we looked, not just me, the guy that was with me, Paul Bateman, he was a medium at the time. We both saw these two purple lights come down the wall.
Oh my gosh.
Purple lights come down. He's at the door, he's banging. Get me out, because the growling was really intense, to the point where, as it was growling, you could feel it vibrating your diaphragm. And it was like really, really intense. But because he was concentrating on trying to get out, I was trying to be, Mr. Investigator. I'm not scared of anything. I want to investigate and find out what's going on. And as the lights come down, it was almost like a half, I don't know how to describe it, like a half troll, half bat creature with like these weird sort of pointy ears. And it was crawling down the wall backwards. But at this point, the door was open. I was out. No more.
Oh my gosh. If I saw that.
That's what made me start studying into demonology now, because I do honestly believe that I saw a lower level at that time, and that's what got me into it. So, I mean, a few comments up, but let's get through these. Bonnie's saying there's medical research trials in the UK, Damon, and they use the placebo. They are amazing results from trials. The research subjects are explained everything before they sign up for them. Yeah, that's the difference. In this country, we have this thing called like full disclosure. If you're going to sort of put yourself up for medical testing, you have to have full disclosure, whereas America, they don't seem to have that for some reason. Philip saying, wish I looked at that well at 32.
Thank you.
Christina said, young, trying to connect the number 12. Philip saying maybe a house number.
So my dad texted me. He said, so she didn't die on the 12th, or like the 12th day or the 12th month or anything. But yeah, if he's listening, Dad, if there's any connection to 12, just let us know. So he's thinking.
Oh, mad. That's mad. Right. Bonnie's saying, Kate, that'd be very interesting. I think she's talking about the photo. So that'd be quite cool. We're going to get permission first, because we're not that sort of people just to stick photos up like that. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I'm sure it's fine, but just in case, you know, it's not my photo. Yeah.
You don't want to get grounded. When a member of my family passed, there is a constant thing of a cat lying on the bed with them. None of the family keeps cats.
Wow.
The connection there could be that the Egyptian connection could be there because they believe that the cats were the guardians of the underworld. So there could be that Egyptian connection there, you know, the old gods and stuff like that. Vonnie put up a cool comment, but everyone's commenting so much, hard to keep up. No, we've had that one. Damon, don't be a donut. Vonnie saying, I've not really looked into orbs. I also don't just dismiss them. A lot is dust insects, but there are some strange ones that do appear to have images in the orbs and they look and act differently, which I would agree.
100%. Yeah.
Christine's asking as well, did anyone put anything, something in her casket? I think it's all about Nan.
Interesting. So yeah, Dad, let me know. He says, I can't think of any connection to 12 right now. He's still thinking. He can only think about the pressure in his eyes, being a 12 at the moment. So
maybe this just come into my head now. The fact, right, we all know the eyes are the windows to the soul. And maybe by Nan sort of helping with the pressure in the eyes, she was letting him know everything's going to be okay because now his eyesight's okay. He can see things more clearly and the soul should be at rest. You know what I mean? I'm just sort of maybe
it could be
together and getting 12 here, but it could be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. And, you know, it's so nice to share the story because it's nice to see different opinions, different points of view, and, you know, things I'd never even thought of, like you just said. You know, there's so many things it could be, and it's nice to speculate sometimes as well. Yeah.
It's nice to speculate. 12 could be a message for the near future, maybe. So
okay, could be. I'm going to be really paranoid about 12 now.
Well, if you look, the number 12 is very significant as well. If you look at it through numerology, it's a power number. It's a number that talks about a smooth journey through life. The 12th angelic, I believe, was Azurael. Azurael was the angelic that was he was like the Sandman. He used to give people nice dreams.
Okay.
That's number 12 does in angel numbers, so signalizes good dreams and good future plans. Also, if you look at Norse as well, me being Viking, the main gods that sat at Asgard, at the table of Asgard, there was 12 of them until Loki killed one, and then they became 11. But yeah, there's a lot of connection with the number 12.
Interesting. Okay, nice. Definitely.
But I mean, that's a story. Honestly, them all three of them. I've seen the orb myself, and yeah, I was puzzled when Casanova. I was just like, wow, because when you zoom right in, the face, you can see a face in it. Now, people, pareidolia or something like the ink blot effect. Do you know, like when you go see it, they show you a paper with the ink blot on it. I might see a wolf, you might see a dinosaur. You know, there is that to it because obviously when you're zooming in, you're pixelating it. But
yeah, sure.
With that picture that you sent over with the orb in it, when you actually do look at it, you can almost see that it's not the average orb or dust particle.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, totally. Yeah. So yeah, it would be nice to see what others think as well once it's posted. Definitely.
Bonnie's just saying, yes, that'd be right, Damon. I feel that 12 was a level calming indication.
Nice.
A lot of mediums locked in. I'll be able to help out there. That's good.
Yeah, it's great. It's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everybody commenting. Really, really appreciate it. And thank you. It was really, really nice.
It's great to have someone on that wants to share their experiences. You know, in the paranormal community itself, when we talk about experiences, a lot of them are very shady. A lot of people are like find it hard to talk out about their experiences. And it's nice that we have this platform for people to come on and talk about anything, really. Anything.
Yeah,
which
100%.
really. Now, Kate, for everyone who don't know, Kate is very much into English language and literature and stuff like that. She sent me over a list of things to talk about tonight. And the thing that caught my eye was when we was talking about nursery rhymes. Now, growing up in London, a lot of nursery rhymes are about, you know, in East London, we have a saying for everything. And we have a nursery rhyme for absolutely everything. You know, whether it's rain, rain, go away or London Bridge is falling down. Now, what you have to remember is with nursery rhymes, they come from an origin. They're not just something that's made out of nowhere. Excuse me, my dad's drilling. Yeah, they come from somewhere. Now, Kate's going to go delve into some of the backstories of nursery rhymes. Now, I was doing some research tonight, but my tablet won't connect to the internet, so we are in the hands of Kate at the minute, and she's going to talk about it. Okay. Now,
Thank you.
oh yeah, because she asked you a question about it. She says, "Are you a teacher?"
I am. I'm an English teacher. Yes.
That's crazy how she picked it up. I knew that when she asked the question, but I was just like, how did she... Now, let's get the obvious out of the way. We all know that Ring a Ring of Roses was based around the Black Plague. That is an obvious one that everyone knows. I hope everyone knows. Maybe that's just because I'm from East London that I know that. Because obviously the plague was massive back in London that day.
I think that's the most known, common one. Yeah, that most people know. Yeah. Yeah, I think the ones I'm going to focus on, I've got 4 that I really wanted to focus on. So nursery rhymes are a really, really big thing in our family because I have a daughter. She's a year old, just over a year old, and you know, you just listen to them on repeat all day, every day. And then it got to the point where you just think, what is this about? You know, it's just nonsense. And you kind of imagine scenarios where, yeah, you know, you just don't really know the meanings behind it, apart from a few that you've heard of and you don't know. And it's like, you know, some conspiracies behind it and things. So I've just been really fascinated by them, and I have been researching. It's actually quite hard to research because there are so many what's the word, there's like so many guesses about what it could be, or there's not really like a set story about what they mean. So it was really hard to like cross-reference them and look at different sources and different authors and historians and things, but I managed to get down to the 4 that make the most sense and are the most interesting ones, basically. So the first one I wanted to talk about is, I wonder if anybody can guess. So it's not the oldest melody or anything. It's not the oldest song, but it's the oldest story. So the actual story behind it is from 1272. So it is the oldest story out of all of the nursery rhymes. I just wanted to know if anybody can guess it.
Wow. So from 1272, and it's a nursery rhyme. See, now I would go with something like Humpty Dumpty, or no, what's the one about he marched them up to the top of the hill when he marched them down again? What's that one?
Grand Old Duke of York.
See, I would have gone with that one because that's the only one that I could think of, because like dukes are quite old. Christina's guessed London Bridge. Could be, but Kate's not going to reveal it yet. I just wanted to put this one up. Vonnie said she found out the truth about Jack and Jill last night. So that would be, and she was shocked, and she spent many hours singing them to their grandchildren. So I tell you what, Vonnie, when we finish going through these nursery rhymes, stick it up there and we'll get it on the show, because I'm quite intrigued. Philip's saying Little Jack Horner, who sat in the corner.
Interesting.
So put us out of our misery. Which one is it? Was that close? Was that close?
Not really. Not too close. I have to say that the London Bridge one, I'm still doing research into it, but that is actually super, super old as well. It actually comes from the Vikings. But I don't have enough information to verify it yet, so I need to do more research into it. But so that could have been the answer. That was a really good answer.
Got the pastor on YouTube saying Mary, Mary, quite contrary, and Bonnie has said the same thing as well.
That's weird. I am actually going to talk about that one, but not right now.
Ah,
it will come after.
we're not quite darling.
It's Baba Black Sheep, actually, is the oldest story.
I would never have guessed that. Obvious as well, in the sense of like every child sings that nursery rhyme as well.
Yeah, so the actual story dates back to Edward I, around 1272, when he came back from his crusade. He needed a huge amount of money to fund his religious war in the Middle East. And the only way he could do that was to impose a super heavy tax on wool, because wool was very important to the English economy back then, as well as sheep, obviously. So the money made from selling a bag of wool would be split in 3 ways. So the first third would be to the king, which is
the master,
referred to the master, exactly. The second third would be to the church, which is the dame, the Virgin Mary. And then the third was the little boy who lived down the lane, which would be the farmer, or just the common man. Yeah.
Crazy. Oh, wow. I never... sorry, just got to send a big shout out to CT USA. Hello from Ansonia.
Hello.
Alison, welcome along. Yeah, I mean, like, when you look at that nursery rhyme in that sense, when you start singing it through your head and you actually listen to the words, that's it, spot on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And, they think, why a black sheep? Well, black dye was very, very hard to get hold of, making black cloth really expensive. So as a result, black sheep were very valuable, highly valuable, and they were taxed more. So that's why the song was a bit special, because it was a black sheep and really expensive. And I think it's just preserving a piece of history. This horrible king who was taxing everybody, it needed to be preserved. Yeah.
Listeners going crazy for it. Natasha said that's fascinating. I never knew that. Donnie's saying that's it, more realistic history. Saying what about Little Boy Blue? We might get to that one. Who knows? I mean, like this is the sort of thing. Like, you're taking something that we still see nowadays and referring about. I think Edward the First was Edward Longshanks, wasn't he? He was the one that used to stretch people for a laugh. So,
Yeah.
He was a bloodthirsty king. He wasn't obviously Bloody Mary like Queen Mary, but he was bad. I'm sure Edward. I have to look into it, but I'm sure Edward the First was Edward Longshanks.
Yeah, I think so. I think I have read it somewhere. But yeah, I mean, British history, it's full of crazy people like that. Nice. The second one I wanted to talk about is Goosey Goosey Gander. It's one of my daughter's favorites, so I naturally went into that one. I wanted to know if anybody could guess what goose is slang for. So it's we're talking about 16th century England. Does anybody know what a goose stood for? It's a slang word.
I'm going to be really, really stupid here, because I've never heard the nursery rhyme Goosey Goosey Gander. I really haven't.
Oh.
So.
Do you want me to sing it to you?
If you want to, I might fall asleep while you do it.
No, it's okay.
We have got some guesses up. Hold on. Christina Phelps is saying it's Goosey slang for hanging, maybe.
Interesting.
Well, we're talking of 16th century England, so I mean, I don't know if it would be to do with hanging. Probably not. I'm sure they used. Didn't they call it the English bow tie? That was a slang for the term for hanging.
Yeah, that's true.
Alison Payne saying to be grabbed, maybe Could be.
Mm.
Was it what Don Bonnie's saying? Was it what they used to call a dunce or a silly person?
These are all really good guesses, but there's
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
All right,
So I'll tell the story. Yep.
Go on.
So you have to think back to 16th century England. This is Henry the Eighth, Edward the Sixth kind of era, which was his son. Yep. So as you know, Henry the Eighth changed the religion in England. He changed it to Protestant, no more Catholics. So Catholic priests, unfortunately, were very unpopular. Everybody thought they were, corrupt. They had broken their priestly vow of celibacy. They were going around with their trousers down, and there was even a reward for any Protestant that could find out anything about these Catholic priests and what they were doing and turn them in.
Mm-hmm.
So the rhyme, goosey, goosey gander, whither shall I wander? Upstairs, downstairs, or in my lady's chamber. There I met an old man who wouldn't say his prayers. So I took him by the left leg and I threw him down the stairs. So the rhyme is about a priest who was caught in a compromising situation. Goose was slang for prostitute. So he was in a brothel.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, and gander, walking around, goosey, goosey gander. He was in there in the brothel, looking around in a lady's chamber. So yeah, one way to test if a man was a Catholic priest was to check if he could recite the new English prayers rather than the old Latin ones, if he could or if he wanted to. In this case, the old man wouldn't say his prayers, and he was killed by being thrown down the stairs.
That's and we used to sing this to our children. This is mad. It's crazy. But
it's horrific. Yeah.
It does make sense with the whole Catholic priest thing. I mean, when we talk about Henry VIII period, when we had the whole reform of the Church of England, a lot of priests went into hiding. That's why in a lot of manor houses in England you'll find priest holes. This is where they used to hide when the soldiers used to come around. So yeah, I mean that's mad. That's mad. I mean Bonnie's saying fascinating. Alison's saying makes sense. Jeanette done a wow emoji. The stairs went crack and nearly broke his back. So I think Philip's finishing
yeah, there's a little bit. I think it was added later. I couldn't find any reference to that. But yeah, I think it was added a little bit later because it's kind of a fun bit at the end, just because he broke his back. And
Bonnie's saying, I just hope my children never find the true meanings. I think I'm in the same boat, 100%. Man, that's when you look at it on face value, because you take nursery rhymes because they're so sort of happy, jovial, they're very sort of like upbeat. You sort of take them that they're talking great stories that are going to teach your children right from wrong or morals and that. But when you actually start going through them, and Kate's been going through them with us tonight, you start to go, wow, this is how they influence children. It's crazy. Mental.
It is. I don't think they were actually meant for children. I think they were meant as riddles to talk about history, to pass on, information. I really don't think they were meant to be for kids, but it just turned out like that.
Right.
Yeah, the last. Should I talk about the last two because they're kind of connected?
Yeah, go for it. I'm really interested. I feel like I'm learning. It's great.
Oh, awesome! Thank you. Yeah, so the last two are connected because they're relating to the same person. This is Mary the First, Bloody Mary, the merciless queen. He obviously is the relation of because it was King Henry, then it was his son Edward, who died very, very young. I think he was only 16.
Yes.
And they didn't want Mary to be on the throne. They wanted Lady Jane Grey, like Edward didn't. But Lady Jane Grey. I think she was on the throne 9 days, and then everybody wanted Mary back on because she was a Catholic. So yeah, that didn't last long. So anyway, does anybody know Mary, Mary? Quite contrary. How does your garden grow? And then it talks about silver bells and cockle shells. Does anybody know the meaning behind silver bells and cockle shells? They're not flowers, because we've always thought they're flowers, but they're not.
Not. I mean, when you look at it that way, you know, silver bells and cockle shells. Now, we're back in the time of Queen Mary. We know that the seafood and fishing industry was booming, but I don't think that obvious when we talk about cockle shells. I think it's going to be of something different. And silver bells, I mean, you'd go straight for money. I think everyone would just go straight, oh yeah, it's money. But I don't think it is. Philip Harrison saying head. Alison Payne saying nope. I think everyone's given up.
No problem.
The Chashire didn't refer to her burying her list children. I don't know what it means, list children.
List of her children.
Lost children, I think that goes, because you should put
lost children.
Vonnie's saying, is it jewellery and money?
Oh, there's some really good points there, actually. I have to research a bit more about the lost children. I haven't heard that theory before, so I will definitely look into that. I'll show you the silver bells. Here, I don't know if you can see it very well.
Oh yeah,
this was used to crush your thumb. It's an instrument of torture. It kind of looks like a bell, so yeah. And this is cockle shells. This one's just for you, Damon. It goes on a gentleman's private hangings.
They used to refer to that. They used to refer to that as the pear.
Oh, really? Oh, yes, it does look like a pear, actually.
I went to London Dungeons in central London, and when I went down there, went into the torture chamber, and he picked on me and put me in the chair, and he threatened to put a pear up my bum. So I was like, okay, whatever. But can you get them on eBay?
Do you know what?
No.
Okay, we joke about, the silver bell things. That was actually on eBay. I'm not joking. That picture is taken from eBay. Somebody's selling them. So I don't know about the cockle shells, but the silver bells are on there.
Right. So silver bells and cockle shells is referring to torture methods then?
Yeah. So the story is Mary, being a dedicated Catholic, she immediately started to revert all of the changes that Henry VIII had done and his son Edward, hence the quite contrary, because in that time it meant a little bit crazy, a little bit mental, because she just decided to just change everything. Her right-hand man was actually called Chancellor Stephen Gardiner. Get it?
Right.
How does your garden grow? But it could also be referred to the amount of people that she killed and a graveyard. We're not quite sure. Yeah. Silver bells and cockle shells, and then the pretty maids all in a row. So the torture instruments, they would have been used on her enemies, Protestants mainly, and the pretty maids all in a row were the Protestant women that she had killed. Most famously Lady Jane Grey, who was on the throne for 9 days. Once Mary became queen, she just decided to execute her, as you do. And yeah, that's the story behind it.
Just to throw it out there as well, I read a article on Alice in Wonderland, the other new one, where it's got the Queen of the big head. She was based on Queen Mary. Oh,
interesting. I think they have some similarities. Yeah.
Well, yeah, obviously. So that one's related to. So the fourth one's also related to Queen Mary as well.
Yeah, I mean, very, very quickly. The last one was Three Blind Mice, also about Queen Mary. This is from 1555. The Three Blind Mice probably refers to, this is what I researched, it probably refers to three leading Protestant bishops.
Right.
They weren't blinded, they were burnt at the stake for their religious beliefs and their teachings, and apparently plotting to get her off the throne and everything. The blindness probably refers to their lack of faith in
Yeah.
Catholicism. And yeah, the actual rhyme wasn't recorded until half a century later than these three bishops were executed. So it could be about them, it could not be about them, but they think it's most likely to be about these three bishops.
Yeah. Well, 'cause it talks in there as well. They run after the farmer's wife, and don't forget, said like with the Catholic priest, they were trying to sort of like say that they were going out, they were destroying their vow of celibacy. So maybe it's a role reversal. So they're trying to do the same thing to the Protestant bishops as well.
It could be, and the woman could also be Queen Mary herself. Yeah, because she did like torturing people.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we don't know, but there wasn't a lot about that. There was a lot of theories, a lot of conspiracies about it, but that's the only thing that they could really relate it to for the time. So yeah, it's really interesting that, you know, there's two nursery rhymes about Queen Mary the First.
No,
Yeah.
it's true. That is really fascinating. I remember reading about Humpty Dumpty being about Nelson and the fact that he had a mental turn, and that's why they couldn't put Humpty together again. So Humpty Dumpty was referred to as Nelson.
Yeah, that's a really good theory. I've read about that one, and I've also read about another theory that Humpty Dumpty was the name of a cannon in a war. It's actually to do with Colchester. It was a cannon that was used in Colchester. I've forgotten which war it was now. But yeah, it was about the cannon, and they had the cannon in one of the walls in Colchester because it had the wall, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then the cannon fell, and they lost the battle, and they couldn't because like they lost this cannon, and it just broke into hundreds of pieces, and they couldn't fix it.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots and lots of different. It's so interesting, really interesting.
Definitely, because the thing is, we all grow up singing these nursery rhymes without any sort of prior knowledge to what we're singing about, what we're teaching our children. Thanks.
Yeah.
The link to the Jack and Jill one. So if anyone's going to check that out, the link is in the chat there for you. I mean, like I was saying, you're singing these nursery rhymes on a daily basis, especially if you've got little ones. I mean, at the moment, it's not really nursery rhymes with my two little ones. It's Baby Shark. Be the most annoying thing to ever be recorded, but like it, so Daddy has to sing Baby Shark all the time. So I'm happy with that. So yeah, I mean,
definitely.
But we grow up singing these nursery rhymes without any prior knowledge to what we're actually singing about, and when you start to learn about it, it's sort of an eye-opener. And we always talk on the show about looking outside the box, and this is a prime example about looking outside the box.
Yeah, definitely. I just think it's so interesting because it's really a piece of history that people don't know about, and it gets forgotten, and it's just been passed down all through these generations through songs, and it's really quite incredible. You know, these British nursery rhymes. Obviously there's the American ones. I haven't done any research on the American ones, but I would definitely like to. And there's Yankee Doodle and a few others I'd like to look into. So yeah, really, really interesting.
Everyone's saying Kev, Jeanette and Kev heard Humpty Dumpty was the name of the cannon that was specially made. And Philip Harrison is also saying Humpty Dumpty was a cannon I was told when I was serving in the army.
Yeah.
So, quite cool. Vonnie's saying Baby Shark, I've been through that era. It's a small potato. You have to endure it. I haven't got Full potato, yeah. We'll get there. Listeners, if you've got any if you've got any nursery rhymes that you know the origin of, and you want to stick them up there in the chat for me and Kate to talk about, that'd be
Or
great.
any questions?
If you've got any as well, yeah. We're not really on a time schedule tonight in the sense of like, if you guys we want to answer some questions, that's. I think Kate's okay for the minute, aren't you?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if anyone's got any nursery rhymes that they know the origins of, or any questions for Kate about her previous experiences, fire away. I mean, I just feel it's fantastic to have Kate on the show. Because what you got to remember, guys, Kate's one of you guys. She's normally in the chat room. She's normally answering questions. And this is what I'm saying. When me and Kate have these conversations, they go so deep. Kate's like really, really good at researching. It's amazing. I'm telling you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, because as I said before, it's just so nice to be on the show after watching you guys every week and following your journey, and just really thankful to have this platform and to have the followers and the people. And so yeah, it's just a really nice community, isn't it? Really nice and very open. And
they would call it what they call it nowadays, if we're going to be politically correct, it's a safe space for people that have had paranormal experiences. That's what they call it.
It is.
Right, let's go through some of these. Bonnie's just saying thank you so much, Kate. Philip's saying not a nursery rhyme, but my kid loves the Monty Malone song. I don't know what that one is.
Oh, I don't know that one. Interesting.
Natasha's saying it's nice to put a face to a name. Thanks so much for sharing your experiences to you, Kate.
Oh, thank you, Natasha. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Von. Thank you.
No, I mean, honestly, it's been a great chat tonight. Really enjoyed it. I feel like I've learned something, which is fantastic. I love like learning. That's with me all the time, and we're doing it in what I like to call the old school way, you know, through storytelling, because that's how history grew. That's how we learned about where we come from, and how we sort of learned for over the years. We never done the internet. People don't realize the internet is still quite young. I think the first broadcast was like 95 or 94, 95, and it was from one computer to another computer. So you think about it, the internet's quite young. So by doing it this way and sharing knowledge by talking, it's doing it the old school way.
Absolutely. And it's so nice to have that opportunity and this safe space to talk about all of these things. And yeah, just, you know, old-fashioned storytelling, that's how it should be, and people's experiences, and just chatting, really. It's just really nice.
Bonnie saying it's lovely to see you Kate, put a face to the typo.
Oh, thank you, Bonnie. Thank you.
That being saying, it's a good job. We didn't know stories behind nursery rhymes. Can you imagine nightmares as kids? Oh yeah, 100%. You can just imagine it.
Yeah.
And thanks. It's been interesting and fun. Thank you for joining, Alison. Welcome to the crazy community.
Thank you.
Enjoyed tonight. Thanks. Would have made it interesting. I think Philip's talking about when we was growing up, if we knew the origin. It definitely would have been more interesting growing up. I mean, it's been a great chat tonight, guys. And
thank you.
We've got so many things planned behind the scenes here at the Other Dimension. Definitely going to get Kate on again. We're going to talk about, I want to get Kate on sometime soon. We're going to talk about how language is used, because what you'll find as well, especially in occult and in the sort of like alternative history, language plays a massive part in how things are explained and how they're said. So we're definitely going to get Kate on to talk about that. Probably do some more nursery rhymes as well. I know Ben hasn't been on tonight. He is at another Viking festival this weekend. But I'm hoping he has lined a show up for Sunday, so he will be live Sunday. I think that's at 7:30, maybe. Don't know. Philip saying always great. Bonnie saying I really enjoyed this evening's chat. Maybe other members, myself included, at some point could join and share something. I you know what? I've actually been thinking about doing a listeners only show where I throw the link in the chat room. The listeners come live and we talk about whatever they want to talk about, and just sort of like let everybody sort of come in and just have a chat. I've really been thinking about doing that. And Kate has solidified that idea in my mind tonight because it's just gone so well.
Thank you so much, everybody. I think that would be an amazing idea. Also, as everybody said, to put a face to a name, and name to a face. Yeah, it would be really, really nice.
Oh, and big shouts out to Kate's dad as well, locked in. Big shouts out to you. Kate's told me about you. Cool guy. You are a cool guy. 100%. And big shouts out to Mum as well. So guys, unfortunately, that's all we've got time for this week. I want to say a massive thank you to Kate for coming on the show. It has been such a pleasure having you on. Honestly, I cannot thank you enough. Thank you for coming on tonight.
It's been a massive pleasure. Thank you so much, and continue what you're doing, because we, the listeners, we plural, really, really appreciate it. So thank you so much, and thank you everybody for watching.
Hi, brilliant, thank you. Don't forget, guys, if you do want any merchandise, if you want to join the Patreon, links are below. Discord, if you want to talk to us anytime. The Discord is loaded up on the phone. From myself and from Kate, we're saying goodbye for this week. We'll be live again next Friday, or I'll be live again next Friday. If Kate wants to join, she's more than welcome. Open door now, Kate. Whenever you want to come on, you just let me know.
Thank you. That's so kind. Thank you.
But from us here inside the studio, guys, don't forget, Ben will be live on Sunday. I think it's at 7:30, but keep your eyes peeled. Just remember, if there's no other explanation, there is always the other dimension. Have a great week.